Welcome back to the Triple Crown Champ, and today we are talking about Monday Night Raw on the road to. Yes, that's right. Stick with me. You won't miss a beat. Well, let's get into it. So, Monday Night Raw, we start with the revelation that Bron Breakker has injured himself during training. A herniated something. I don't. He's done a hernia, and yeah, Bron Breakker is going to be out for quite some time. Apparently, it's an injury that can keep you out. It's a career-ending injury, so we will see what happens with Bron Breakker. But fairly sure that he will make some kind of return, and perhaps that is just kayfabe as far as how bad the injury is. But I do understand it is pretty bad. We wish him all the best on his return. I'm sure he will. Consummate professional, hardworking young man. We'll see what happens. As for AJ Lee is back. Look at that. AJ Lee. We saw AJ Lee at the start of the show with CM Punk. We start the show with the Usos tag team match for the titles against Alpha Academy. So I find this one interesting because many years ago, late at night, I was watching television, scrolling around, looking for something to watch, and I stumbled on wrestling. Now, this was wrestling like I'd never seen it before. It definitely wasn't Western, although there were a couple of guys, big guys in it who were Westerners, and they were competing against a couple of Japanese competitors. Later on, I would learn that one of those Japanese competitors was Akira Tozawa. Now, why I say this is interesting, since Akira Tozawa has been on the WWE roster, something I was very excited about when I heard he was acquired to the WWE was that we would see some absolutely phenomenal wrestling. We would see some wrestling akin to the wrestling I saw that night, which was mind-blowing. It was amazing. The product, it wasn't presented amazingly great, but the level of wrestling it was the first time I truly saw strong style. The wrestlers were phenomenal. Akira Tozawa could do some phenomenal things, and the matches were very, very long. The match was at least about 30, 35 minutes long. Absolutely amazing. I remember one of the Westerners was very tall, had cleft lip. I don't know. But in any case, I knew Akira Tozawa to be an absolutely phenomenal wrestler before he was acquired by the WWE, and I expected great things from him once he came to the WWE, almost akin to Daniel Bryan, purely because of his size, but it just seems like that never happened. Not only did it never happen, Akira Tozawa was used to he was just embarrassed over a period of time. Himself and Otis, they were taken for fools. They were always run over. So I hoped in this tag team match that we would see a rise in the stock of Alpha Academy. I think we did. I think if Alpha Academy want to be taken seriously, all three, which brings me to a point, Maxine, that I will hit on later, all three should go heel at this point. What do they have to lose? It's not working as baby faces. They generally seem like young journeymen. They're there to sell the other competitors. They're there to build the other competitors. They're there to simply be beaten regularly, always. I don't think I've ever seen Alpha Academy, aside from last week, win a match. That was obviously for the number one contendership. But aside from that, I've never seen any member of Alpha Academy win anything. And I've just seen them just been beaten from pillar to post every week. So, I mean, I think really and truly they should go heel, all of them, including Maxine, who I'm not even quite sure if she's in the Alpha Academy anymore. The presentation's still the same, but her music's completely different, so I don't know what's going on with that. They haven't really been seen together too much recently, just kind of in passing. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with Alpha Academy, but it was good to see them get a run out, and it was good to see the level of what Tozawa has in his locker, because if you know, Tozawa's got a hell of a lot in his locker. So let's talk about the promo between Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. I actually quite like this. It had something of a telenovela feel. I understand the languages, the Japanese. A lot of people choosing to speak in Japanese at the moment, and a lot of people speaking in Spanish, back and forth conversations that I'm guessing at least 70 to 80% of the audience does not understand. But I still quite like it. It gives an authentic feel to the product. Um, Stephanie Vacquer's slap on Dom was beautiful. It was clearly such a fake slap. She didn't want to hurt him, but it was so telenovela. I absolutely loved it, and I don't know why, but it was a very enjoyable segment of the entire show. So let's move on. Elimination Chamber qualifier between Rhea, Ivy Nile, and Lyra Valkyria. And I say, please, please, please let this be a Lyra Valkyria win, although I knew it wasn't. Quite frankly, and I've spoken about this before, I believe really and truly Lyra Valkyria should be the one in that spot, not necessarily Tiffany Stratton. Um, and if at least bump Lyra up to that status of performer. I think she's wasted in the intercontinental picture. The Bailey and Lyra, I mean, it could work, but it's not a real tag team. I'd like to see Lyra on her own. I'd like to see Lyra winning world titles because I believe she is that level of competitor. She has that much in her locker as a wrestler. And I think a lot of this match that we looked at, yes, Ivy looked good, but I think Lyra was the one selling the match, really giving gravitas to the match. Yes, Rhea was in there, but Rhea was in there to do what Rhea's going to do, which is win. As far as I'm concerned, Lyra is a much better wrestler than Ivy Nile, than Tiffany Stratton. I think she should definitely be there at the top. I think there was a lot said about Ivy Nile and her ability in this match. I watched two botches. I watched two botches within that. And she didn't fully seem in sync. There was a lot of effort in there, but there were two significant botches by Ivy Nile. So at the end of the match, I don't really understand why. Well, I do understand Michael Cole talking about what a great performance Ivy Nile had, because clearly they're trying to do something with Ivy Nile at the moment. So that brings us to Maxine Dupree and Natty. Interesting. Building something interesting. But again, I feel like Natty's just being used to build Maxine to something, and she'll be overlooked soon enough. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Natalia or we're talking about Natty. It really doesn't matter. I don't think WWE really wants to do anything with Natty aside from use her to build other people. No matter her resurgence, what she's been doing in other productions, I don't think it really matters to the WWE except for the fact that they can use her to market other people. That being said, I do like Maxine Dupree, and I do think Maxine Dupree has something interesting, and I wonder how long they can stretch this story. I'm hoping that they can stretch it to Mania. Give both of them a chance to compete at Mania, but I fear that this is simply a build for Elimination Chamber, and after that, it will dissolve. But I think it's time to give the newer people on the roster the chances at a WrestleMania, at a SummerSlam. And I feel like bringing back AJ Lee to compete against Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania is just more of the same. It's old. It's you've gone out to get a big name when you have so many people that you could build and put onto that stage. There's so many. We were speaking about Carmelo Hayes not too long ago. You could build a storyline with Carmelo Hayes and someone. You could build a storyline with Maxine and someone. You could build a story. Well, I guess they are doing that with Natty. But we'll see how far that goes. But I'm a little bit troubled as far as the bringing in of people in order to sell the event of WrestleMania, the part-timers and so forth. Roman was another one. I mean, it is what it is. I can only say. So, very much like LA Knight's promo, very stylized. different from everybody else's promo. Clearly, I don't know if he had some input in that or that was purely production, but it looks very interesting, and his character has a little bit more weight to it now. I always felt like LA Knight was simply just pushed into the heavyweight sphere after he lost the United States title and didn't really belong there. Now I'm feeling a little bit more like he belongs in the heavyweight picture, especially with this promo and the way he's wrestling at the moment. I'm coming around slowly, very, very, very slowly, but I'm coming around, I guess. Let's talk El Grande Americano madness. So that's what I will refer to it as. El Grande Americanos, Rayo and Bravo versus Javon Evans and Original El Grande Americano. Yes. So, all great performers in this. I think I spoke about this before. I love all the performers. Obviously, the two British lads. Always been a big fan. Ludwig Kaiser and the two British lads have clearly been in the same locker room all the way since NXT UK. I think they've competed against each other many times. I think Imperium, Walter, and Pete Dunne are some of the most amazing matches. Some of the most amazing matches you've ever seen. And the same goes for Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne. So the Americanos, three Americanos, they are Rayo Bravo and Grande. I mean, they clearly have something together. They clearly have a relationship together. On some level, it works. I think Pete Dunne clearly has to work on his fake Spanish impersonation or whatever. He's absolutely terrible. Kaiser obviously gets away with it because he knows like 4 languages, one of them being Spanish. So, I mean, Bates interests me a little bit. Your people, your people have no respect. It's hilarious. I like it. It's funny. So those guys interest me, and Chad Gable always, no matter what he does, even if he's Shorty G, Chad Gable is interesting. So the match between them and Javon Evans. Javon Evans' cutter, my God, it was a thing of beauty. It was a thing of beauty. The timing, yes, they had to replay it that many times because it was perfect. It was perfect. Best thing I've seen in a long time. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the match, which obviously was Penta versus LA Knight versus Austin Theory for the Elimination Chamber spot. Now, we knew who was going to win that match. It was always obvious who was going to win that match. Although I thought there was something to be done there. Penta has got so much push at the moment that you need to do something with him. You need to do something with him, and it's not an Intercontinental title. Keep him in the world title picture because you've seen that it could work. WWE Unreal were talking about how big his pop is and how over he is with the fans, and yet he's perpetually there to just sell a main event and never really win. Never hold titles, never go into the really big matches. As they said, Elimination Chamber would be something amazing for Penta. It's something in his wheelhouse. And yet LA Knight obviously won the match. So, and I thought it could have gone anyway, because it could have gone to Penta purely because of what he could do in the Elimination Chamber. And you could still hold a feud between LA Knight, Austin Theory, and the rest of the division. He could still have something, even if he wasn't in the chamber. He could still interfere in the chamber. There could still be a storyline in which I always love the storyline of the Elimination Chamber spot that was stolen. So the first time I ever saw it was when Edge lost his title. He was the first elimination in the Elimination Chamber in the first match of the night. Edge lost his mind, came back in the last match of the night, which was the second Elimination Chamber, and won the other title after losing his title early on in the night. Won the other. That was an amazing storyline. I absolutely loved it. We've done it before where Jade Cargill was attacked Jade Cargill attacked Naomi at the beginning of the last Elimination Chamber. So I like the idea of somebody's Elimination Chamber spot being taken. I do enjoy that. And felt like they could do something like that. So Penta could have won and LA Knight could have taken, say, Bronson Reed's spot, or Austin Theory maybe was in another match and he won and he got the chamber spot and his spot was taken by LA Knight. Something to that effect I thought would have been much better as a storyline. However, they went with LA Knight gets one over on Austin Theory. I think what was being done with Austin Theory before was a lot more interesting. So during that age where Vince was around and Vince wanted Austin and was pushing Austin Theory, I think that was clearly a more interesting period of watching Austin Theory. I think this new gritty Edge is a character I probably would have liked to have seen then with that Vince McMahon push. It's almost like the character he was before, I didn't really like, but the character he is now, I liked. But the character now isn't getting the push, whereas the character back then was. It's that kind. It's a juxtaposition. But I think Austin Theory is a lot more interesting now, and I'd love to see a little bit more of Austin Theory. So that brings us obviously to the clip of the day. So let's see what we have. If you like the content, please hit like, subscribe, hit the notification button. It lets you know when I'm uploading next. And until then, I have been the Triple Crown Champ. I'll see you next time.